and welcome to the Basic Latina Podcast, an intimate conversation with friends about love, life, wellness, and everything in between. Today we're in the Bronx, and I'm sitting down with, I don't want to say a friend, she feels like family to me. I'm sitting down with Kimberly, who I call Kim, but Kimberly is a senior vice president, the head of municipal finance, risk credit management. That's a mouthful, Kim.
It's a mouthful.
So when I said I wanted to do this podcast, like I've said before, I wanted to highlight people of color who are thriving in their business. And Kim is someone who has been, she's related to my best friend, and she's always kind of given us advice about how we can thrive as women of color and what we can do with our money. And she's someone to definitely look up to because of all the traveling and all the things that she has been successful at. So I know a lot of friends who are looking forward to this episode because they are hoping to get some advice from Kim about how to get their life together.
That is a lot. That's a huge burden because Kim is still trying to get her life together.
I knew she would laugh when I said that. But I mean financially. Like right now, I'm sitting in Kim's apartment, which is bomb as fuck. So I don't know what she's talking about. She don't got her life together. And she has this really powerful vision board that I'm staring at that has all these amazing words like money, power, respect, which isn't that a Little Kim line?
Yes, that is a line from Little Kim's rap.
It has elevate and style and power and grateful and black love and achieve and happiness, eat right, look great, all this crazy stuff. But before we get into the episode, I want Kim to introduce herself a little bit and tell the listeners about yourself.
So, as you said, my name is Kimberly Lyons, and I'm just a regular girl from the Bronx. In my Cardi B voice.
I was going to say, okay, Cardi.
Regular girl from the Bronx.
Degular? Doesn't she say degular?
Degular girl from the Bronx. I am 36 years old, about to turn 37. I am a municipal finance professional, and have been in a career basically all my life, ever since grad school. Yes, we are here in my lovely apartment in Riverdale. I still live in the Bronx, not too far from where I grew up.
But a really nice part of the Bronx, I feel like. And I don't mean to say that in a bad way, but
no, yeah.
People look at the Bronx and they think of those apartment buildings that have a million people.
Yes.
But it's
the Bronx has a negative connotation, I think. We're not one of the gentrified boroughs. It's not like a Brooklyn or anything, but I mean, it's still home. It's where my family and my friends are from. So when I did, have the means to purchase my apartment, I decided I wanted to stay close to home. I didn't want to go to Jersey. I didn't want to go to Westchester. And Riverdale is one of the best options in the city as a whole to live. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So it was your decision was behind wanting to be close to your family, wanting to be close to home.
Absolutely be close to my family. I'm 10 minutes away from my grandmother. So.
Love Nana.
Right, exactly.
And it's so funny because I feel like you are a Bronx girl through and through, and that
I am.
Girl, even when you're traveling, I'm you look like you're just they just put you you didn't
I am. I like to say that for whatever it's worth or however people try to frame me and you're corporate, you quote unquote made it or whatever. I am still the same girl from the Bronx, regardless. My 9 to 5 and my 5 to 9, I say, are the same thing. It's the same person that I am with my friends and my family are the same. It's the same person that I am with clients. You get the same person.
And it's so funny that you said that because I literally, this is not a question I was going to ask you, but this has been coming up in my life because I work in a hospital setting, which most people know that the hospital setting is male and white dominated, especially, which is so weird in Hartford, which is really diverse. You don't feel like you have to code switch?
No, I used to, actually. I used to code switch a lot, and I think as I have gotten older and just more comfortable in my skin and just more comfortable in my own ability as an analyst and knowing I used to have imposter syndrome.
Yes,
where
girl.
I used to, you think like I don't really deserve to be here. Like I don't deserve to be like sometimes only female, definitely mostly the only black female in these boardrooms or sitting across from these clients or in these meetings. And I realized, I do deserve to be here.
Absolutely.
And, I know my shit and I know it well. And I'm not apologetic for the achievements that I have. And, I think once I realized that, I just stopped. Like, I had to be my true self.
Yeah.
Like, it's very exhausting to code switch. Like, very exhausting.
It is. And for me, I struggle with it differently in that I know 2 languages, and sometimes I feel like my brain has to process what people are saying, and I feel like people don't know what I'm saying because of my accent or because of me talking so fast or something. So for those of you guys who don't know what code switching is, which I'm hope that you guys know, but
most people do it and they probably don't even realize that they're doing it.
Right, and you don't have to be speaking another language. If you're a person of color and you just grew up, you know that you act a certain way at home. You feel like you need to change the way that you are at work to assimilate to the larger population because you don't want to show your color.
And I think it's funny though, like with me especially, like I've had the same group of girlfriends since I was like a
Glam
child.
Squad.
Yeah, shout out to the Glam Squad. The oldest friendship is like we like kindergarten. So
that's amazing.
These are like I can't be somebody else. Like I can't be who I'm not. So when I do meet people now, like even like with my boyfriend and stuff, like people are just like you're so conservative, you're so corporate, this time and third. Like I think like that is my true identity. It's not like all the way like hood, but it's also not like all the way corporate. Like I'm just like in the middle, and I'm just able to seamlessly move between both worlds because that's who I've always been. Like I've always been the girl, like even like on the block, like I've always been the girl that got good grades in school. Like I was just like, like not like, I don't want to say the word bougie. Sometimes the word bougie has a negative connotation, but people didn't say it in a malicious manner to me. They were just always like, like she's not that type of girl. Like she's like down to earth and like I would hang out with the guys from the block, but they just knew like certain things like I'm just not gonna do. Like like, we just always knew that who you are now is who you were destined to be.
Do you feel like even before that, before you got to the status that you're in now, that you've always had that personality where like I'm classy and I'm hood, I can get down, but I could throw on some heels and be present in this?
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's just who I am. Like even my friends joke about it all the time. Like I'm like the trap music queen. Like I listen to the most like gutter rap music in the world. My friends are like, oh, did you hear this new song? Like, I don't listen to R&B. Like, I don't listen to any of that. Like,
nothing soft.
Nothing soft. They're just like, God. Even my boyfriend is just like, can you like not listen to like Lil Uzi first thing in the morning? Like, can you not listen to Migos? Like.
Which I feel like I saw that at Benay's 50th birthday. You guys were, like, the hood music came on and, like, the whole room turned. Yes. And you had, like, a dress on. I was like, no, Kim, stop. Like, I feel like I'm going to see your stuff. Like,
that's just what I love. And even, like, I feel like at some point I'm going to have to stop because I'm, like, getting closer to 40. And I'm just like, but I feel like the music keeps me young.
And you know what? And I've always said this, and I'm not just saying this because you're sitting next to me, but when my friends, because I have different groups of friends, some with kids, some that are married, some in relationships, they get down on me about the fact that I'm not in a relationship and that, I'm not out here with all these guys and when am I going to settle down and why don't I have kids? And it's so funny because I always reference, I'm like, Kim is happy. Like she has her career. Why I want to be like Kim and I'm not putting that in a situation where you're saying like, I don't want to have kids. I don't want to get married but I always think of the fact that women like you really make it feel good for women like me to think like, oh, I can have success and love can come when it does come. Because, you're in a loving relationship and you're happy. And I know that we all we all have different timing. Yes. But it does feel nice to see that you are kind of game changing in that way that you're just like, well, why can't you do both? Like,
right.
It seems like some women it's either or, and that's not fair.
And it's not fair. I think that, so within my group of girlfriends, it's pretty much split down the middle. Like half are married with children, and the other half of us are either dating or in relationships, but like with no children. But we're, and it's fine. I think that for me and sort of my journey, I just never was inclined. I was never that girl. Like I never was saying, I never grew up saying like, oh, I want a baby or like, oh, I want kids. Like I just never was. I used to say that I lacked like the maternal instinct. And even like growing up around kids, like it just wasn't me. And even having relationships and after school, I wanted to be successful. I don't want money, and kids are expensive, and
they are.
Right, kids are crazy expensive, and I know my friends are like that, are married and have children. They love their children, and I I love that love. And if it happens at some point, I think that's great, but I've spent so much of my life actively avoiding getting pregnant.
Yes, I feel like everything that we're taught is that.
Right, actively just to avoid it. But I do think it's interesting because I'm at a point in my life where it's kind of, you get
scary.
over 35 and it becomes scary.
Right.
Because now you're gynecologist, everyone's talking to you like, oh, like, have any kids. I think at some point, like at between like 20 and 30, it's like, it's great. Oh, great, she doesn't have any kids. She's concentrating on doing her. When you get into your mid 30s, it's like,
girl, what you doing?
Yeah, like why don't you have any kids? And so now in a manner of like, what's wrong with you? And like I travel a lot. Like I'm just I like to be on a go. I don't like to have anything. I don't want to characterize a child as this, but like holding me down. Like sometimes I forget to feed myself. Like I don't know what I'm gonna do with a kid.
Right.
But to bring it back, like there are times now where I think like, damn, like should I? It's like crunch time. Like your doctors are like, okay, if you do get pregnant, it's considered a geriatric pregnancy at this point.
What?
Yeah, like I just had like my checkup, and we had this very long conversation, and she discussed like freezing eggs. She's like, if you're gonna do something, you have to really consider it within like the next year or so. And I'm like, damn, like I'm still like.
And I only know that freezing eggs are expensive because the creator of Curlbox, Miley Teal, I'm obsessed with her, and so she's pregnant. She's in her 40s, and she like had issues with her pregnancy. And on her podcast, she talks about that same issue that you're talking about.
I mean, it is very expensive, and then also I think black women. It's very expensive, but black women as well. Like I have uterine fibroids, so like that's also an issue, and it's in a majority of black women. So there's all of these. It's a lot of health issues that that factor into it as well. But I do think that there's no pressure. I don't put any pressure on myself because there are so many women who are getting pregnant later in life and who are delivering healthy babies. And they are more prepared for it, not only mentally but financially. So I think it's cool that some people had their kids early on and they basically were able to grow up with their kids. But I also think that it's cool that you have the option and choice to wait if you want to. And I still haven't decided what I wanted to do at this point, but I think I still have a couple of more years to figure it out.
And I'm happy that you don't feel that you have that pressure where you're like, I'm just kind of like, my friends group is kind of split. Like, I'm just chilling. And
if I want to, like, I could babysit if I wanted to. Like, I didn't have access to a kid, but like, right now, what works for me is like just being able to get up and go.
And I love that laid back attitude, because I think that people assume that if you don't have any kids and in your age that you are like, you're missing something, you're empty, you're lonely. And it's like,
I'm not missing any damn thing.
Like literally Kim is hydrating right now because she had a turns up Friendsgiving last night.
Yeah, this is a hangover interview.
No, but I love it because you...
And I wouldn't be able to do that if I had a damn baby running around.
No, it's true. And you know what's so funny? That I'm totally... This interview is about finances, and we're getting, like... We're talking about so many things that are so relevant, though, because...
It's just not... And it was... I'll say this, when it happens, it happens. Yes. But until now, the way my lifestyle works, right now, a kid couldn't factor into that. And I like nice shit. And like,
you have to
expensive.
Yeah, and having nice things would definitely require for you to like prioritize. Like, okay, am I gonna have nice things or like mediocre things and have a child? So, but at what point, Kim, did you feel like you were successful enough that you're just like, I don't need to code switch and I don't need a kid or a person to validate me? Like, did you always kind of have this? Did you always feel this confident? You know, which
no,
it's a yes or no question.
No, I've definitely never always felt this confident. And sometimes it's really day by day. Sometimes I feel like I'm at the top of my game. Other times I feel like I don't deserve any of this. So, you know, I think it's always something, especially with my personality, being a Capricorn and like the super type A. I think it's something that I constantly deal with. Like, I'm always trying to think about new goals, achieve new goals, and I have, like, an immense fear of failure. And I think that keeps me on my toes, and that's what really, like, you know, just keeps me really focused.
Yeah. But you recently got this title change, right? This promotion?
Yeah, I
like, how long have you been at this particular firm?
So I'm at this current firm. It's 2.5 years now. But prior to that,
it seems longer.
Right, it does seem longer because it's been so much going on. But prior to that, and it's kind of interesting because it ties back into the confidence question. Prior to that, I was at another firm for like 9 years, and exactly, and. You know, when I first started there, it was like I was on this very fast upward trajectory. I started out as an analyst, and then I got, like, promoted. Did I get promoted twice? I think I got promoted twice. Associate analyst to analyst, and then I got promoted to an assistant vice president.
Wow.
And then it was like... nothing else was happening. And I would see all of my colleagues and peers, they were getting promoted to vice president. It's going on like 4 years at this point that I'm still an AVP, and like all of these mediocre white men are getting promoted around me. And that shook my confidence to the core.
Wow.
And then I realized that I had gotten so comfortable at that one firm. People, you know, who had left, or my peers that were getting promoted, they were not only out earning me in delivering mediocre work, but now they had a higher title. And I realized, like, I had let myself get too comfortable. And I think, especially, I mean, I'm not going to generalize, but I think, you know, a lot of Black women, we are really risk averse. A lot of minorities in general, like, we're really risk averse, especially when you feel like you don't belong there. Like, you're not, like, you know, you're working in this corporate environment, and, you know, people think that you may have just gotten by on a whim or whatever. So you don't like to be super vocal. You don't want to take a lot of risk. And I realized, like, to regain my confidence, I had to bet on myself. So nobody in a million years thought that I would leave that particular firm. And I did. And they were just all like, oh my God. And the firm that I was going to, it was like super small boutique, and everyone was just like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, all of my bosses, all these women, they were just like, you know, in another year or so, if you wait it out, you'll get a promotion. I was like, yeah, no. So I took that leap of faith, and I left. I left my comfort zone, and I went to this current firm, and I got hired there as a VP. And then just 1 year later, I was promoted to senior vice president and the head of my little small department. And that would have never, ever happened at my prior firm. Like, I would have never gotten that promotion. I would have never gotten this title. I would have never gotten the leadership opportunities that I've had here without betting on myself and taking that leap of faith.
See, and I think that's amazing because I feel like every single person that I've recorded for this podcast, like who own a business or who are really thriving in their business, have said that they wouldn't have been able to get to where they are now without taking a risk.
Right.
So you bet on yourself, which is the best bet to make, right? And you are at this amazing firm, which is awesome. Now, what is a municipal finance?
Right.
What is it that you do exactly?
So what do I do? It is. This is like the $1 million question. So I am basically a bond analyst, a municipal bond analyst.
Okay.
So state and local governments issue debt to finance infrastructure projects, right? Wow. So, say Hartford, which actually is in a not really good budgetary position right now,
girl,
in the state of Connecticut. So, say the city of Hartford wants to build a new school or repair a bridge or a road or something. That project may cost $50 million. They obviously don't have $50 million sitting around to fund it. They have to go to the bond markets to finance that, and they issue debt to finance the projects. And lovely older people, retirees, generally buy these bonds. And I say older people, most people, everyone has a bond in their portfolio. Something. I think most people, their first association with a bond is like a savings bond or something like that. But municipal bonds, they pay a guaranteed interest rate is generally lower than a stock. So as you get older and closer to your retirement age, you want to have more bonds in your portfolio than stocks, because that means you're getting like a set revenue stream. There's minimal volatility with bonds. Municipal bonds generally do not default. You're going to get your money back, the same money that you put in plus your interest.
Wow.
The municipal market is huge. Trillions and trillions of dollars flow through this market. And what my job is, I basically evaluate the creditworthiness of an issuer. Oh. So in my prior role at that firm, I was the actual rating analyst. So if the city of Hartford says, we want to sell this bond, they would come to my firm or one of our competitors and come to us for a rating. So you need a rating to sell the bond in a market. And, we would evaluate their creditworthiness. So Hartford, at this point, is probably, I think they're below investment grade. But, you get a letter grade from high AAA to below investment grades, which mean that you are a default risk.
Wow.
And so that's it. So basically what I do now is that I work for a firm that basically would buy that bond, and I monitor the creditworthiness of the entire portfolio. So if I see one of the bonds in our portfolio is underperforming, I have to, start flagging that and, just basically heighten monitoring for it.
Wow. So you're basically managing like thousands, trillions, millions of dollars.
Millions and our portfolio, actually, we have, I think, over $11 billion in exposure to U.S. municipal bonds. So it's it's spread out all over the country. So I am in charge of watching all of that.
Oh my God, Kim. So with managing everybody else's money, does it get better to manage your own?
No. I'm going to say that because, it's not really managing someone's money, because I'm not like at an asset. I'm not doing asset management. I'm not like I'm not a money advisor.
Okay.
I'm just like the person that's going to tell you like, okay, the city of New York look like they're close to a default situation. You may want to sell that bond now or prepare
like
yourself to right. But this is for like a large institutional bank. So I'm not like advising like Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, like you need to sell this out of your portfolio right now. That's a different lane.
So not like small level stuff.
Right. That's a different lane. But I will say this, and just in terms of like your own personal finances, just because you work in finance does not make you really smart with your own personal finances. I've seen a lot of people, people in my industry make a lot of money, and a lot of people like literally live check to check.
That's so crazy.
It's crazy. It is crazy, because I think people don't realize that it doesn't matter how much you make. It depends on basically how you manage your money, and really it's on the expenditure side of it, like your lifestyle. People think that when they make more money, they want to upgrade their lifestyle to that, without realizing that, no, maybe you should keep your lifestyle a little bit below that so you can create a buffer. And most people don't.
I saw you post something, which you post a lot of things on Instagram that end up following, and it was like, when you get a promotion, like pretend that you didn't and put that money in the savings account.
Right.
And well, first of all, have you always wanted to work in this sector?
Like, no, when I started out, I actually wanted to work in politics. I went to school I went to school for public administration. I have a master's in public administration, and I went to the University of Albany, Rockefeller. Woohoo! And I lived in Albany, and I did my internship. You have to do an internship with their grad program, and I did it at the New York State Legislature. And working there and getting getting that intimate with their inner workings of politics, and seeing how actual laws were passed, and seeing like the lobbyists and how much influence they had at the state house, it just really turned me off from politics as a whole. And I just realized like it really is like a power play, and the people who like need good policy passed the most don't really get it like at all. It's basically the donors and whoever influences the most, they're the ones that get what they need passed. So then I was thinking about not-for-profit work, but I wanted to come home, so I wanted to come back to New York. And one of my professors in my public finance class was like, well, hey, you can work in a private sector in a city. You don't have to just do like public sector work, because I would have like went to the city and worked for like the budget office or something like that. And he was the one that really told me like, this is like a whole industry that most people don't even know exists and know about, and you can like get into it. And that's pretty much how it happened. I had no clue what a municipal bond analyst was before I got there.
That's amazing. So it was like you went from wanting to do politics, and a professor kind of put the bug in your ear. Yeah. And you went from there. Do you watch Insecure?
Yes, I love Insecure.
Girl, can we talk about that situation where Molly opened that paycheck, and she saw that her white counterpart was getting paid more than her? Have you ever experienced that personally, or someone else in your sector who's a woman of color experienced that?
I think that I think it's just common knowledge that women of color are underpaid, and I do not hesitate at all I know that applies to me. Yeah. I've never seen it directly, and people are very secretive in my industry in terms of
about what they make.
Yeah, and I think that's a generational thing. I think that people, I think I'm on a cusp of being a millennial. I do not really think of myself as a millennial, because I need naps all the time. But I think millennials are much better at being open with those. I agree. Right, with salary details, and I think that's what's needed, because if you don't know what your peers are making, like how do you put a value on yourself? Exactly. But I will say this, that now I'm managing a team. This was the first year.
So you're managing people now.
I'm managing people now, and I saw that one of my male analysts made more than the female analysts on my team. But I wasn't involved in the hiring when they were hired.
Is it like a big jump between what men and women are making in that particular situation?
I think that, what are the stats? 80 cents. I'm not sure exactly what it is.
80 cents
I think
to $1.
I think it's aligned with that. I think that it's true.
Wow.
It's true.
And did you have an opportunity do you have a say in those situations where you can change that or you can't?
I've tried to advocate for it, but I don't have the final say, and it's unfortunate.
Wow.
And it's unfortunate.
Do you have any suggestions for what people can do if they find themselves in that situation where they're like Amali or they're you?
I think if they, this happened. This was a little part of why I left my former company. I needed to get paid more. You have to advocate for yourself internally. It's something that I'm going to have to do again at the end of this year for myself.
Yeah.
And if they don't respond, you basically have to know your worth. Like, people have to be ready to, like, pick up and leave. Like, I think a lot of minorities, especially women, we have this feeling like we should just be grateful to have a job or grateful to have that opportunity. And we don't realize, like, these companies are making millions and millions of dollars. They're not loyal to us. We do not need to be loyal to them.
Right.
And just, be ready to take that leap of faith.
And I swear, Kim, it's like the universe is talking to me because I'm having this same issue at my job. And I am asking for the listeners, but I'm asking more for myself because me and this other woman, she's black. We're the only people of color in the whole department. This particular hospital is very white and male dominated, and when it came, I've been there for 2 years. I'm supposed to be promoted up to another position, and I know what the middle, the maximum ranges, and so they gave me significantly less than what I'm supposed to get. And so I've gone to all these seminars about advocating for yourself and negotiating your salary, and I did everything right, and they still aren't giving me what I deserve. And everyone that I've been talking to is telling me, well, then you need to go then.
Yeah.
And it's so sad because, like, I feel like I'm doing so well at my job and I'm perfecting my craft and I get to travel at my job and I'm running programs and I'm doing so much. But so the thought of having to leave brings me a lot of anxiety. But it's like, as women of color, we already have an issue with advocating for ourselves.
Yep.
And then when we do and we don't get what we deserve, it's like, do we stay at our job and be miserable? And for you,
that's not worth it.
Right.
It is not worth it. I've had jobs where I was, like, so miserable. You realize, like, you spend the bulk of your day at work, and that has a huge effect on every other aspect of your life. If you are miserable at work, it's going to seep through to everything. And depression is real. Anxiety is real.
Yes, girl. Yeah.
And I'm not going to let any job kill me.
Yes. No, it's just so crazy because I was just talking about this with someone that I was recording an episode with yesterday, and I'm very transparent on my Instagram about like depression and anxiety. And people are uncomfortable with that, but it's like, you need to make it known that depression and anxiety look different, everyone.
Yep. And
things like your support system at home, your relationship, and your job, those 3 factors contribute tremendously on how you're going to be able to function. Oh my God, the wind is like fierce.
I know. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, but it's like, dang.
Yeah, those trees are like moving. I think that we definitely need to normalize depression and anxiety a little bit more. I think, especially within our communities, people try to shy away from being associated with the words or with the conditions. They think that it's like a negative connotation, but it affects each of us, like, and it's nothing wrong with reaching out to someone, to talk to someone. Like, I'm a huge advocate of therapy. I'm a huge advocate of medications, like whatever you need to be on to make you right, just do it.
Yeah, no, and I second that. I love that. Have you seen, and maybe you haven't seen this, but do you feel like people of color, that we spend money, do we make mistakes in terms of spending money differently than white people? Because I always hear that.
No. I am so sick of these fucking Facebook memes. Excuse my language. I am so sick of if you didn't buy your Jordans, you would be able to buy a house. Like, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Studies and data have proven that extremely wrong point. That is, like, it's such I feel like it's such a an easy target, like to like beat minorities down. Like it's ridiculous. Like they want to talk about our spending power as consumers, and yes, we do have a lot of spending power, but it's a fraction. We are still the minority. It's a fraction of the spending power of white people. We do not outspend white people,
and that's good to know, because
it's so wholly inaccurate, and I hate it every time I see somebody post something like that. I'm like, you guys are fucking retarded. Excuse me.
No. It's, you can say whatever you want on this podcast.
No, I don't think you should say the word retarded.
Oh, no. Our word is a little controversial, but...
Sorry. I just think it's ridiculous. And like, you cannot.
I wanted to hear from you, because as someone who likes nice things, and then you buy name brand things, but you also manage a home. So it's kind of like, I see that you do both.
It's about managing your money. You cannot tell somebody who only has $500 like that they shouldn't buy this thing for like $100. What if they're saving the other $400 and they wanted to, that little 100 portion is their happiness, but then someone else who has like $500, like they're just mismanaging everything. It's all about how you manage your money. Like if a person has paid all their bills, given their 10% to their savings, let whatever joy that they have over in their money, people work extremely hard for their money, let them have it. If that's sneakers, a video game, I don't care what it is. Like, I'm just not into like bashing people for what they want to purchase.
Exactly. If they want to stand in line and get Jordans, if they want to
go ahead. Yeah.
But it's all about managing your money. So
like you can't fund a down payment on a home with $200 Jordan money. Like, I'm sorry. Like
it's not equivalent.
It's not equivalent at all. And that's what I think people, especially, we live in a world right now, especially with like social media. Yeah. Everyone has an outlet. Everyone has a voice for their opinions, and people just spout the most incorrect things. Like, I'm just so sick of like that hotep mentality where it's just like.
Do you ever correct people when you see that?
Sometimes I do, but then I realize I cannot spend my day arguing on the internet. I can't. That's true. I can't. Like, I just have to scroll by, and that's why I don't go on Facebook, because I think I hate Facebook with a passion. People are so stupid on Facebook.
No, people are crazy stuff on Facebook.
Stupid on Facebook, and they take it as law. Like, whatever somebody else posts. There's a lot of fake news on Facebook too. Like I can't. I do not. I'm much more of a Twitter, Instagram girl. I cannot do Facebook. Like, it would enrage me every morning going on Facebook.
And that'd be a lesson to everyone who's listening, that if you see a meme or something on social media, do your research.
Yes, please do your own research. Please do your own. It's like the modern day Willie Lynch letter. Like, just, you can't, it's just incorrect.
I know only one other person that's in the same sector as you. He's Puerto Rican and he's my age. He's a financial analyst, and he has like a whole closet full of Jordans. And he was just saying like, he was talking to me about how, the same thing that you just said. Oh, people think that because I have a whole bunch of Jordans, I don't manage my money, but like, I'm going to take this. I think he said he was either going to invest in it or like sell it.
Resell. And that's a huge resale market right now for sneakers.
Because he has like throwbacks and like he doesn't touch them. And people take care of their stuff.
People pay top dollar for sneakers now. That is one thing I think that is a good outcome of like the huge social media presence right now. Like, it's created a lot of entrepreneurs. Like, there's so many lanes for people to make money now. Yeah. And, like, sneaker reselling is a big one. It is a big one. People make a lot, 6 figures, like, selling sneakers.
And there's all these websites now where you can sell your clothes.
Yeah.
Like, before it was just like Plato's Closet or going to some kind of thrift store, but now there's literally websites where you can sell your shoes, your purses, your everything. No, and I love this because I feel like we've hit so many hot topics already. Are there some tips that you can kind of give our listeners? And I know you don't like manage small like industries.
Right, I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm gonna say that. But what I will say is that I think budgeting is key. I'm a huge fan of Dave Ramsey.
Oh yeah.
Yes, Total Money. Yes, Total Money Makeover. Yes. Sometimes it can feel a bit extreme what he's saying to do, but I think it's all about finding a balance. You know, I think people living below your means is a huge way to get ahead. Save early, save often, always pay yourself first.
I have heard that pay yourself first.
Always pay yourself first. You know, my goal is always, so he has like, Dave Ramsey has these 6 baby steps. So step 1 is, I think baby step 1 is like have $1,000 like emergency fund. I think that's amazing.
And don't they say you should be saving up for your salary or something?
You should be saving up between 10 to 15% of your salary. Okay. I think everyone should have like an emergency fund because emergencies always happen. I think everyone should have 3 to 6 months of living expenses or strive to achieve that. Like I'm just a very big fan of saving money.
Yeah.
Debt is something that should be avoided when you can, because it's a trap. Like, we know we definitely live in a materialistic world, and I think a lot of people, you can fall into a trap where you are relying on credit card debt to subsidize your lifestyle. And once you realize that when you can't pay your balance in full anymore, that's when you realize like that's a problem. It's going to continue to grow.
And I feel like it's a trap. You know, a lot of the things that I know, a lot of friends, for example, who find themselves in a situation where they are doing all the opposite of everything you just said. So they'll make, maybe we're going to use $40,000 for an example. They make $40,000. They're living like a paycheck to paycheck. They're not living within their means, right? So they want like a really nice apartment.
Right.
They have like a really nice car. Everything's high, like their APR rate, their car payment, their insurance. They have credit card debt. They have school loans, and they're scraping to buy groceries and cars.
That is a horrible way to live. And I'm not judging anybody because I'm not perfect at all. I have credit card debt. I do have loans, but it's from grad school, and it's not a lot. I was very fortunate and blessed that my dad paid for my undergrad tuition.
Oh, nice.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie. No, I also have grad school debt, and it's not that much.
It's not that much, but, you know, I do have debt. But I think that debt is it's crippling. Student loan debt especially. Like, it is crippling so many people, and it's unfair. I think it's unfair that, you know, millennials are painted as this kind of like just generation that spends, and that like you don't want to buy a house or you don't want to save your money. But look at the jobs. Like, I've seen some of these jobs offers that comes out, and they're like master's degree required, but they only want to pay you like $35,000. Like, who can live in 2017 and 2018 on that? Like, I think that what America has, because the way our economy is right now, it's not sustainable. Like, you cannot have the same type of lives that your parents or your grandparents had, like when they came out of school or when they were like young adults working. Like, it's hard to, like, that's why people are having families later and doing everything later, because it's taking so much longer for you to get established. Absolutely. I'm a bit, like, after just seeing this stuff, if I did have a child, like, I would not, like, make my child move out my house. Like, I think people, if you need to go back and live with your parents and stack up your bread, do that. There's no shame in the game.
Yeah, I live with my mom, and and I help her pay her bills, so I don't live there for free, but it's definitely much cheaper.
It's a big
help.
Like,
absolutely.
Do that. Like, whatever you have to do to get yourself together, because I think, like, you know, another issue is sort of the comparison game. Like, you see people on Instagram, you see people on Facebook, and you're just like, damn, how they like affording that lifestyle, and that's how people get tripped up. So, you know, they want to have the same lifestyles that other people have, but you don't know what that person is doing. They may be committing a crime to do that lifestyle. Like,
right, people are now doing photo shoots on jets and stuff,
like,
to take
it's
pictures
just
for the
crazy.
gram.
Like, so my whole big thing is just like, I just tell people, and it's something I have to teach myself all the time. Like, you know, I have those points, and it's like, let me save. Let me pay down all of my debt. Let me do this stuff because it, you know, it feels good. And then it's other times where I'm just like, damn, bitch, the Chanel store is down the block. Like, let's go. Like, I deserve it. Like, I have no say when it comes to that. Like, I have had my moments of weaknesses, and then I have to clean it all back up. So it's like 6 months of spending like I'm Diddy, and then 6 months of living like I'm like a pauper. Like, I'm not spending a damn thing for the next 6 months.
Right.
So,
do you feel,
it's a balance.
and I want to pause on that for a second, because we live in a society, well, you live in New York, and I would be broke. I think that I would, like, all the brunches and all the Uber Eats and your little block had, like, I was like, ooh, there's a taco place here. Like, I would just be
the happy hours alone are just, like...
How do you resist temptation when all your friends and everybody around you wants to go out to eat? What is it? What's your, like, motto? Do you tell them, like, girl, like... I ain't spending for 6 months, or are you good at saying no? Or?
I'm very good at saying no. And another thing is that generally, like, all of my friends were generally on the same page. You just be like, bitch, I'm broke. Like, we're like that upfront with each other. Like, I ain't got it. I'm not going. I'm not doing nothing. We make proclamations. And, like, I already told them, after my birthday, the next 6 months, you're not going to see me. I'm going to be in the house saving my coin. And, you can say that, like, I can say that with my inner circle. But, I have other groups of friends, and they may, like, want to invite me out. And I feel bad because I have to say no. Like, I may not have seen them, like, since last year. But it's like, I can't. I ain't got it.
Yeah. And all this, honestly, I feel like this is helpful for everyone. But this is helping me, too, because I'm in a transitional place in my life, Kim. Because, like, I want to leave my job because they're not paying me my coins. Right. Like, and you already know Hartford is terrible.
Yes.
Like, we don't have a budget. No one is in my particular fields and in my department. No one gets paid over $50,000. And mind you, I have a master's. Well, everyone knows that, and so it's really hard, and it's just really difficult. And I don't want to get into it, but on top of that, I also am thinking about how I want to move, and it's just one of these things where you feel like you're going crazy because you're like, I want to keep going forward, but I'm getting all these roadblocks. Do you have any advice for someone who's like, I feel like I'm stuck? What's the first step? Because I know you recommended the David Ramsey book, which I really enjoyed as well. I read that.
Yes, I am a big, big, big fan of Dave Ramsey. I think the more people who, start to live by his steps early on, like, the better you will be in life. Like, I'm restarting now because, again, it's just level. I do own the book. I own, like, I've gifted people with the book as well.
One of my friends got married really young, where they've been married for, like, 2 years now, and so her and her husband, like, they took all their debt together, and they were able to pay off their loans little by little. And now they, like, don't have any debt. Yeah. I don't know how they did it, but she was like, I read this book by Dave Ramsey.
Yeah, Total Money Makeover. And
like, apparently their church recommended it.
I think a lot of people, a lot of churches do recommend it. So, I mean, like, it's sort of like, there is, like, that evangelical part of it. But, like, I think...
It's relatable.
It's very relatable, but you have to be able to cherry pick the things that will work for you and work for your lifestyle. It may be hard for some people to follow the 6 steps and do exactly what he says, but I think the main principles are valid and are helpful. But I think, like, going back to your situation when you're describing, I think just for anyone in general, like, you just have to let, like, time work itself out. Like, don't put yourself on a fast track timetable. Don't, like, say, I need to move out by, like, a year from now or something like that. I think, like, slow and steady always wins the race.
Right.
And if you're feeling undervalued, you're undervalued. It's not going to get any better.
It's not
going to get any better at your current position. And especially if you, like, feel like you advocated yourself and you still hitting that roadblock, that's when it's like you gotta take a risk on yourself.
No, and I love that, and I feel like that's a perfect way to kind of end, because I know that there's a couple of things that Kim said. It's about advocating for yourself, betting on yourself, and saying no, right? So if you're in it, I know so many friends, because I'm also bad at this too, where we want to say we want to do this philosophy where we don't do anything for 6 months. but we don't know how to say no to people. And I'm recording an episode with a friend about saying no and putting up boundaries.
Yes, boundaries are extremely important.
Yes, and boundaries are the favorite thing that people love to break. Okay,
yes. And you're not missing out on anything.
No,
or give yourself like the freedom of like one social event a month or something like that. But boundaries are extremely important, and no is my favorite word.
Girl, no is a full sentence.
Yes, no is a full sentence. No explanation needed. Mm-hmm. No.
And like what Kim said about reading the Dave Ramsey book, The Total Money Makeover, which I'll put in the show notes, you have to, with anything, on social media, whatever you read, you have to take what you want and leave the rest. Like, you're not supposed to ingest the whole book and try to implement everything because it might be overwhelming. You have to cherry pick it to your situation. So it might be that you have to start off from scratch and saying no to things. And saying no is hard. But there's definitely a lot of blogs and a lot of people who write full articles. Psychology Today has a great article on saying no and how you can actually say no to people around you. Because it's weird how the people around us are the hardest people to be truthful to sometimes.
Yeah.
Which sucks. Yeah. Whew. So I definitely want to get into our rapid fire round with you, Kim.
Okay.
I say rapid fire, but it's not fast at all. Okay. So, what are you listening to right now? I know that you say you listen to a lot of trap music. So, is there something in your rotation that...
right now, I'm loving Motorsport with Migos and Cardi and Nicki.
Yes, Motorsport is good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Perfect. And what are you reading right now? If you're not reading currently, what was the last thing you read?
Okay, so I am horrible at this. I order like 3 books a month, and I just have not been able to read. So the Year of Yes was the last book that I read by Shonda Rhimes, and I just ordered Gabrielle Union's book. We Need More Wine, and Hillary Clinton's book. So I'm excited to read both of those. And then also ordered Negroland, which I'm also super excited to read. I saw that was good. Yeah, so I have like a stack of books that I have
that need your attention.
Read. Oh my god.
Well, there's 6 months that you're going to be in hiatus. You can read.
I know, I can read. I'm addicted to and I need the physical like I'm not a Kindle girl. Like I need the physical.
Oh, and I love paperback. Yeah. And it's so crazy. Every single person I've interviewed so far has said that they either read or want to read Gabrielle Union's book. Yeah. And I'm going to try to start a book club with my friends because I feel like that is a good book to read.
That's a good book. I've heard nothing but good things from it.
I'm excited. What's your morning routine like? So you work I don't want to say regular, but you work like a 9 to 5 or 8 to 4. So
I'm really bad. I don't have a morning routine. It's very weird. I'm not a morning person. I'm not really a night person. I'm like an afternoon person. So I am just like exhausted in the morning all the time. But I'm trying to create one. So I am going to start getting up an hour earlier and working out. And I have these B12
supplements?
Yeah, supplements that I'm going to start taking because I think it is actually very important to have a morning routine. Just have to get one.
It's okay. No, that's what, and I like asking people because everyone is different, and you'll be surprised. People like you that have like great skin will be like, I don't have a morning routine.
Right.
I'm like,
and then
I have to do like a million things so my face can clear up.
But it's just like soap and water. Right. I feel like I just roll out the bed. Sometimes I don't even take my makeup off. It's bad.
You have an eyelash chilling on your cheek.
It's so bad.
So I know you're not a night person either, but what's your nightly routine? Do you do anything to like turn down from the day? That's like consistent that helps you kind of get to sleep?
I watch TV. I don't watch like regular TV. I'm like a big cable head, and I watch House Hunters every night.
Love House Hunters. No, that's amazing. I love that.
I watch House Hunters every night and just zone out before bed.
That's awesome. You go to bed with the TV on?
I have to sleep with the TV on.
Oh, interesting. What has made you the happiest this week?
Oh, my friends. Friendsgiving has made me the happiest.
Which it looks so fabulous. And lastly, what do you do for self-care?
I nap. I swear to God, I nap. I love taking naps. And, like, I think people don't nap enough. And when I do have the time I do, you know, like massages and stuff like that, but taking naps and just taking time to myself is like just so important. Like there are times where it's like you got 1,000 things on your to-do list, but sometimes you just need to relax and just,
I love that.
You know.
No, I'm a huge advocate for just resting.
Yes.
Whether it's you closing your eyes or you're just sitting, but you need to reboot.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kim, for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, of course, and thank you for accommodating me and doing a hangover episode.
I'm like, this girl is blabbing.
No, this was awesome. I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. Kim definitely has a lot of gems. And is there any place where people can find you if they want to read your stuff or follow you? No,
I keep my social media private.
Okay, that's all right. But if you Google her, you will find her in some amazing article or something.
Right? No, it's fine.
No, it's okay.
No, I'm not a big, like I said, I don't have a Facebook page. My Instagram is Glam Squad KRL. But I probably will not accept you. I don't accept strangers. There's just a lot of fake pages out there.
No, I get it. And you haven't been, you haven't done any other interviews or anything like that?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No.
Oh, I'm the first.
You're the first.
That's awesome. And so if you guys really liked this episode, make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe. We are on iTunes and SoundCloud at Basic Latina Podcast. Make sure that you know that if you rate and review, the more reviews we get, the more visibility we get, and then visibility is everything. And the Basic Latina Podcast inbox is open. So email me your comments, questions, or suggestions at basiclatinapodcast@gmail.com. If you write me a letter and you'd like me to read it on the show with a guest, I'm happy to do that. At some point, we want to do a listener letter episode in the season. So I'd like to thank the Pod Squad for making Basic Latina Podcast sound so good. The editorial oversight is by Gabbie Barnes, and music is by Michael Guns. We'll talk to you guys soon. Stay well and take care.